Welcome back everyone. Now this video, you're gonna learn 3 different ways or drills that will help you shallow out the golf club in your downswing. All of these drills I find to be extremely effective, and it helps them change the position, get the right feel for the right position, and also make their own practice times more effective. And be sure to like this video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps me to create more content like this for you guys. Now let's get into it. Okay, so drill number 1, you can see how I set up the plate here and angled the stick basically parallel to the shaft when I'm at address. So the stick is actually a little bit kind of in front this way, maybe just slightly, but the further back you place the stick, or the angle of the stick kind of this way, then it'll just make the drill more and more strict. Okay, but you just want it maybe a couple inches ahead of the shaft, all right, in the same angle as the club shaft. So when you set up to the golf ball and when you go back, I want you to avoid these mistakes, okay, when doing this drill. Number 1, we don't want to whip the club head back in this way, all right? We still want to make sure that we turn the body to initiate the takeaway. You don't have to get the club to avoid the stick quite a lot, all right? You can stay fairly close to it as you take it back, all right? So when you take it back and when you make your downswing, you obviously want to make sure that you're swinging it underneath that alignment stick. If you were to come over the top with it and fail to shallow out the club, you're going to obviously swing over top of it, or you might even hit it a little bit. Okay, so this is just a visual reminder to kind of keep your hands moving more downwards and to shallow out the club, right? So it's going to allow you to feel things in the downswing that you might not have felt without an object there, all right? So I just want to let you know that when you're at the top, you have to, or you're probably going to feel one of these 3 things. So number 1 is that you're either going to feel like your hands, the direction of your hands, move more downwards, okay, instead of outwards, which a lot of people who swing over the top do. Or number 2, you're going to have to feel as though you're delaying or slowing down the rate at which you're turning your body from the top. So a lot of people feel like when they get here, when they're trying to avoid it, they feel like their chest kind of points or stays pointing more to the right of the golf ball instead of opening up immediately from the top of the backswing. Okay, so number 3 is that they're either going to have to feel like they're bending their wrist back to kind of keep the club head behind them longer. Okay, so obviously if I bend my wrist back like this, the shaft of the club head stays more behind me, so that'll make me able to avoid this stick here. Whereas most people that also throw it over the top, they kind of throw their club head this way using their wrist, okay? So you're either gonna have to feel one of those 3 things or maybe a combination of those things, all right? So that's some advice that you guys can think about while doing this drill. But if you were able to do it correctly and always have this station set up during your practice, you can always ensure that every swing that you make is much closer to what you need to do. So if you guys are wondering what this is, it's a device called the swing plate. Now, it's a very, very compact device that just lays on the floor. There's 2 slots where you can fit alignment sticks into. It comes with a standard length alignment stick and a very long alignment stick. It's basically like one leg of a tripod, but you can fit these into those slots and basically angle those sticks however you would like. So it's very, very versatile. It can work on things like your backswing, your downswing, your follow through, head position, basically everything. So you should be bringing this device with you every time you practice. So now you got to know how to set this up. So continue to watch this video to know 3 ways, or these 3 drills that you can bring to the range and help you with your practice. If you want to purchase one, you can click on the link in the description box. Now back to the video. Okay, drill number 2 is the exact same setup, but we're just kind of using a much longer alignment stick. And you can see how it extends out pretty long, pretty far beyond my head. So the difference between drill number 1 and drill number 2 is that with this long alignment stick, it'll help you work on more so, or focus on the top of your backswing. Okay, so if you can keep underneath this stick here, and if you're a player that kind of lifts your arms, you're going to touch the stick in the backswing. So one point about kind of setting this up though, is that you want to make sure that after it's kind of parallel to the shaft of your club at setup, you want to make sure that it's intersecting close to the bottom of your trail shoulder in here, okay? Obviously, if the stick was placed too flat, it's going to force you to kind of take it back really low and flat like this, which is obviously what we don't want. And then in reverse, if it was positioned too vertical, it might not give you the same feedback. So you can still kind of lift your arms and not really feel what you have to feel in the backswing, and it'll still be hard to shallow out the club. So when it's kind of through the lower part of the shoulder, that's perfect. Now, when you get to the very top of the backswing, if you can stay underneath this alignment stick, it's gonna allow the shaft, it'll force the shaft to have to stay or basically intersect close to the middle of your bicep of the trail arm, and maybe even to the lower part of the bicep in the trail arm, okay? So obviously if you get to the top and you throw it down too steep, you're gonna touch this alignment stick. So you'll have that feedback that you need. So when you get to the top, if you can go stay underneath it and then also stay underneath it coming down, that'll give you the best chance to deliver the club on that little bit of an in to out path. So it should look something like this. All right, so now drill number 3. So now I've actually placed the plate like a few feet kind of behind me. I've angled the stick at a 45-degree angle, and you can see the measurements or the degrees on the device itself. So you can angle at 45 degrees. I've placed the alignment stick pretty much pointing down the line, pretty much parallel to the line of my toes, and it's kind of right in between, okay, where my toe line is and where the ball is. Okay, it's right between in the middle here, pointing straight down the line of my toes. All right, so now it's far enough away from me, the edge of the stick is far enough away from me where it doesn't, kind of get in the way of my hands at all, okay? So this drill is more specific to the movement of the club head itself, all right? So we want to practice keeping that club head behind the hands longer instead of throwing the club head out in front of the hands, okay? So this is more of a kind of a wrist and club head specific drill that'll also help you to shallow out the shaft more. All right, so when you have the shaft positioned in that way, when you get to the top, again, turning the body like normal, if you were to come down, everything fine, shallowing the club, keeping the hands moving a bit more downwards, you're turning everything correct, but you tend to toss the wrist kind of out this way, where you're adding extension into that lead wrist, and you throw that club head out in front of you, then you're probably gonna touch this thing, okay? But if you come down enough and you do everything correctly, and then you keep the wrist bent back enough to kind of keep the club head behind your hands long enough, you can kind of see that it just avoids that stick there. Okay, and that'll help you come in on an in-to-out path, and also keep you flexed a little bit more on that lead wrist, and ensure that the club head itself doesn't kind of get thrown out in front of you too early in the downswing. And there you have it. So these are basically the top 3 drills that will pretty much force you to shallow out the club. If you set up these drills and practice them regularly, then they should be able to give you some feels that you can bring on to the golf course. And before you guys go, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.